What's happening, weirdos? This is great. This is exciting. This is a big one. This is David Duchovny. You know, David Duchovny. You do. That's probably why you're here. How exciting! To the new people, welcome to the show. To the weirdos, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. I love this chat. David has a new podcast out, coming soon, I believe, but you can subscribe to it now and you can check it out on the podcast app or whomever you get your podcast. It's called Fail Better with David Duchovny. Be sure to check out Fail Better. I'm so glad you guys are here. We really get into it. This conversation really stuck with me, and I hope you enjoy as much as I did. Not much to plug up top. Big thank you to everybody in LA, not to plug, but to say thanks, at the Wilshire Evil Theater. That was last night for me, the day I'm recording this. It was so close to being sold out. It was incredible. I'm so glad so many people came out. It was over 1,000 people came to the show. Melted my heart to see people in there. It's hard, I've been talking about it on the pod. It's hard during a festival. There's so many shows, and you guys really showed up, and it was really heartwarming to me, and an incredible show for Matt McCarthy. And I had so much fun with you guys. So just a big thank you to everybody that came to the show in LA on May the 4th. If you don't live near LA and you want to see me, I'm coming to Chicago. We added a second show on Thursday. I'm also coming to Texas and Pennsylvania. All sorts of dates on PeteHolmes.com. And if you are in LA but you missed me, or you want to come see me again, I do a monthly show at Largo. Go to largo-la.com and look for Pete Holmes Living at Largo. That's always the highlight of my month. Trying out new stuff, doing some of the act as well. It's always amazing. All right, enjoy David Duchovny. I'm so glad you're here. Get into it. I am thrilled to meet you. I'm a big fan of yours. I think you're very, very funny. I actually, I just did a movie with Judy Greer. Say what?
Pressure. I love Judy Greer. I love Judy Greer.
Judy Greer is amazing, and she told me to watch the TV set, which I did, and I thought you were phenomenal in it. And I'm also friends with Judd, and Judd was like, "That's kind of me." And I kind of saw you do a little bit of a character study on Judd with the back problems and the heavy crown of the producer,
the paunch,
and the paunch, of course.
That was funny with that movie because that was Jake Kasdan writing and directing, and it really, Jake pitched it to me as this is kind of my experience with Judd on Freaks and Geeks. I was like, oh yeah, I'll play Judd, and nobody fucking knew who Judd Apatow was.
Yeah,
and the day we did the table read. The week before we were going to start shooting, we did a table read for investors because it was cobbled together like, $20 from this guy. And, it was just a true independent kind of labor of love film for the Kasdan family.
Yeah.
And we fucking went to the premiere screening of 40-Year-Old Virgin that night. And I just remember sitting there and watching the audience just go nuts, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna know who Judd Apatow is."
Yeah, you're out of the bag.
I was actually started to play him when nobody knew his name, and then by the time the movie came out, he was an adjective. There was like Apatovian.
Yeah. This is how Jason Alexander must have felt when Curb came out. They're like, "Oh, there it is. There's the guy that I was kind of invoking the whole time." And now Larry David is almost, well, I don't know. I don't know if you'd say more famous, but maybe as famous as Seinfeld. I would say that.
Yeah, in that way. Yeah. I mean, I'm sad that I never got to be on that show.
You would have been great on it.
Yeah, that would have been fun to do. It seemed like a bit of improvising, which I like to do. And but back to Judy Greer, just such a talented, funny, beautiful woman. I mean, I love Judy Greer.
No, she was wonderful, and I'm glad she told me. Somehow I had never heard of that movie. And as somebody working in LA, that's, I've created my own shows. My experience, I worked with with TBS, I worked with a very hands-off network. And then with HBO, I worked on like respectfully hands-off network. So I didn't have the experience.
Which were the shows that you did?
I did a talk show called The Pete Holmes Show that was on after Conan. And then I did a show that Judd directed and co-created with me called Crashing on HBO, which was about being a comedian coming up in New
Uh-huh.
York.
Yeah.
But in both cases, we didn't have the nightmare that is the movie, the TV set of like
Right.
getting noted to death and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I, well, anyway, you're doing a podcast anyway.
I know.
Like that
Everybody's.
doesn't count. What is going, why? What's going on, David? Why are you doing a podcast? It's called Fail Better. Am I getting that
Yeah, yeah.
correct?
You don't have to say it like that.
Fail Better? Like with a question mark and an exclamation point, and it's
Yeah.
underlined.
Yeah.
No, no, no. It's a great title. We say on this podcast all the time, fail faster. We say fail faster, find the fun, which I didn't make up.
Oh,
But
where's it? Where's that from?
it was framed in a video game, like an independent video game company had it framed as their mantra, fail faster, find the fun. So if somebody was like, what if this game was two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional? Do it. They would just be like, just do it.
Uh,
Get to the fail because we know that that fail yields the result. Is that sort
oh,
of the
I
theme?
guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, one of the things that's interesting about doing a podcast, as I'm sure you know, is that you don't really know what you're doing or thinking or saying until you're out there doing it. So
Yeah.
my sense was, and this happened during the strikes of last year. So my agent said, we can't do anything for you. Nothing can be done, but we can do podcasts. Did you ever think about doing a podcast? Because
Oh,
that's
wow.
covered under SAG after or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but I guess I could talk to somebody about it. And I came up with a couple ideas and had a discussion with the agent there, and then we just sold it. It was like, oh, I wish the rest of Hollywood was this easy,
Yeah.
or
No,
or
there's
or or the people making decisions could actually make decisions that quickly.
right.
It was kind of beautiful in that way. And I'm working with this company, Limonada, which is they've been amazing and really collaborative. But I mean, my sense was, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that a lot of things are tinged with failure
Mm.
um, in the creative arts and in life. And even the successes can sometimes feel like that. And obviously personal failures as well. I don't know. I don't know how to process them. I don't know, we talk about resiliency and we talk about all this. It's not like I have any answers. All I'm doing is having people come on and saying, are you interested in this angle of the discussion?
Yeah.
Looking at your life as a series of failures surrounded by occasional successes,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And what did you learn? How did you grow resilience? If you did, uh, are there some failures that stuck with you forever that continue to hurt? Because we have this narrative that, yeah, you learn from failure. It's cool. It's great. You got to fail. But some failures really kind of stick
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
continue to hurt. And what do you do about those? So
Yeah.
that's just the door opening. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm no expert in it. I'm not a psychologist. I think it's an interesting angle on a discussion, and that's kind of what I'm going after.
Well, I mean, we've been doing this show for a long time, and I think you're doing two things really, really perfectly, actually. One is being loose about your premise because the
Right.
premise is going to fall away, as I'm
Right.
sure you've
It's just
discovered,
a premise.
but also inviting the guest to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Even if you don't end up talking about failures, you're saying, like, will you come on in the spirit of someone who's willing to talk about their failures, even if we don't
Exactly.
end up doing that? It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, exactly.
And also, I'm not trying to spring anything on anybody. I'm not interested in
That's
like
us too. Yeah. It's not a,
relitigating
I say it, I
something.
go, it's not a gotcha podcast.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll say that to you, even if there's something in a week and you go, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. We just take it
Yeah.
out. This is
Right.
something, we're making together. And then
Yeah.
I feel like people actually do want to share. And that was actually my first planned question was like, how open is David Duchovny, Why Won't You Love Me, going to be on a podcast? Because honestly, I have
Not
you
very.
on. You're on my
Not very.
podcast right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, how open is David Duchovny, Why Won't You Love Me, going to be on my podcast?
Well, there's a
Have you
couple
given this
of
some thought?
Yeah, I do because a couple of things have been nagging at me since I've started doing my own podcast, which is, I don't want to give away my good shit. It's like I like you, Pete. Cool, but if I come up with something good, I'd rather it was on my podcast. So there's like
Oh,
something.
well, let me give you a tip. Just do it on both. That nobody cares.
That's the other thing
It's
is like
true.
the problem with doing a podcast now is everybody is kind of hip to how to do a podcast now, or
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
speak on a podcast. Everybody's got their rap down pretty good. And I'm so not interested in that. And
Yeah.
I'm not interested in hearing it come out of my mouth either. So I guess my answer would be I try to address whatever questions you have in an original way. I'll try to answer them as if I'm answering them for the first time.
Yeah.
And maybe I am, but um, the other part of the answer to that is, uh, I think I've lost it. Whatever it was, I lost the thought. But it was
Well,
well,
how open are you
being
going to
vulnerable.
be?
How open am I going to be?
You don't want to use your shit on my podcast
No,
because
I
you have
might.
so
No,
much
I'll be
information.
open. I'll be
No,
open.
no, no.
I know I
You
can.
wouldn't
I
have
know we
said
can
that if you
work.
were really going to lock up the vault. Nobody thinks
Right,
you're being
right.
tight.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think everybody just goes through this calculus now where they go, we're all fucking whores. We want to entertain, and I want to make you laugh and I want to make your
Yeah.
audience laugh.
Yeah.
But do the calculus now where you're like, well, is that laugh worth it? Is the laugh worth it?
Well, I actually think that we're a comedy podcast, but we also kind of lean self-helpy sort of stuff. And like one of the great reliefs of this show is that we're not really trying to be funny. We have like huge laugh moments, but as an artist, you'll appreciate sometimes they have a 90-minute or a 45-minute setup to that moment. You know what I mean? It's just kind of
Right.
talking, but then you
Yeah.
actually score in this like Babette's Feast, like a long thing that only has one punchline. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that. And it became its own art form. And like you, I get angry that something podcasting that essentially was like ham radio, it really was like dorky and kind of underground. And like, this is where we'll have
Right.
conversations that aren't
Yeah.
slick. Now, the bigger the guest I have, which is why I asked it of you, because you're very famous, I was like, is David Duchovny going to play ball? Because if I have, like, somebody's like, who's your dream guest for the show? You could say Matt Damon, but
Hmm.
I'd worry that Matt Damon has been through the PR machine and he's
Right.
just going to know and where to pull back. But
Right.
like, where's your line?
Um, it just depends because, like I said, I've got kids, I've got an ex, I've
Yeah,
got people in my life now, I've got a girlfriend. Again, I do the calculus like, yeah, I'd love to be honest, and I'd love to help, like if what I could say could help or be funny or whatever, but I also don't want it to rebound on me.
right.
I have not had good experiences in the public sphere with being understood. I've been
Mm.
misunderstood a lot, and there's no way I can make myself understood. It just has to happen naturally.
Is there a mantra that you carry? Like if you're feeling like you're slipping into some old pattern, is there something that snaps you back into the David you want to be? Is there some advice
So,
that you've received, whether it's about addiction or marriage or relationships or not? But that's what I'm in the market for, is like those things that
yeah,
helped you.
I guess I'm interested in, and what I'm interested in my podcast as well is shame. Just how difficult it is to figure it out in your own life, areas in which you have been shamed or feel shame,
Mm,
and to go into those areas, even if it's just sex or divorce, there's a lot of shame involved,
mm,
and shame just kind of heaps upon itself. It kind of grows exponentially in some weird way,
of course.
and that's the killer for me. Is like my adult life has been, why do I feel ashamed for
Mm,
nothing?
mm,
And then how that shame grows, and then the shame kind of pushes me to behave in ways that I don't feel are constructive or loving or anything like that. So that's been I don't really have a mantra.
yeah,
I mean, there's some great 12-step mantras, but I
yeah.
don't really have one. I mean, I love expectations of future resentments. That would be good for you on this podcast here, if you're
I
thinking
like that.
about.
No, yeah.
So there's good little touchstones, and I find them in poetry as well. It's not just like self-help type stuff, but I'm a reader, and I find literature is philosophy, is life philosophy. I find it in religion as well. So there's been so much writing and thinking and religion about the
Mm,
very nature of our shame as humans,
mhm,
original sin. I don't know what you want to call it, but there are many different names for it, and
mhm.
that's been kind of my interest as an adult creator.
Me too. It's
And I
written
don't
on.
feel like I don't feel like it doesn't sound like the funniest kind of concept to go at, but it's super funny.
What is super funny?
Shame.
No,
It
I
just
think that's what we're trying to salve through
yeah.
entertainment a lot of the time. I mean, wouldn't you say?
I had this guy, Gabor Mate, on my podcast, and he's an amazing addiction specialist and a therapist and a doctor. And in his book, The Myth and Normal, that we were talking about, he said, all this traumatic shit happens between the ages of 0 and 3. Like if you can get your kid to 3
Mm,
without fucking them up, you're fine.
mm,
And so it's not even like the shit you remember either.
yeah, yeah.
We're kind of fucked because we do have this shit we can process since we were conscious and we can put words on it. But then there's other stuff like lack of attachment or neglect that happens between 0 and 3, and I think we're very sensitive animals, and a lot of that stuff can happen to us before we can even put a finger on it.
I completely agree. Alan de Button. It always sounds funner. Is
I
this
yeah
Alain de Botton? I don't
yes
even know. You know who I'm
yeah
talking about?
yeah
I'm going to put this to you. This blew me away when I heard it. Because talking about shame, you're like, why am I this way? Why am I this way? And I'm not looking to blame, but I am looking to understand. And he says, you can tell a person's mental health by how badly they want to be famous. And when I heard that, I was like, I knew I was fucked up, not in a bad way and not even in a finger pointing way, but I was
yeah
like, yes, you said attachment. There was something just a little bit off. Everybody was doing their best, but there
yeah
was something that was off. Nobody gets into a business. Like I heard you talking about when you're working, you have what you called what's next disease,
yeah
meaning it's like, it's not even really about getting on the X-Files and just enjoying it. It's
mm,
like, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm saying for me, there's a temptation to go, let's fill the hole, keep filling the hole, keep filling the hole, keep proving that we're worthy, that we're not shameful. I get
mm,
this way with stand up. I'll be feeling like broken and weird. I'll feel like a Frankenstein on the beach. Like everybody's having fun on the beach and I'm just like a monster. And then I
right
go and do stand up. Strangers laugh, they hear me, they understand me. I exist.
right
They exist. We're together. It's like I took 15 Xanax. I feel fantastic for several days. But
oh,
that is what it is. I'm not mad at that. But I will also say I don't think that's the healthiest or the most normal situation. Do you relate to that?
it's the healthiest for you.
It
It
works
is
for me.
healthy for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does. I'm not mad at it. A
it's
lot of
your
people,
coping strategy.
right.
And as coping strategies go, it's productive. It may not ever work as long as you want it to, and there may be a deeper answer that you will find, or that you find one day, or you don't.
Yeah.
But they're all just coping strategies with whatever kind of discomfort we have with ourselves. How I don't know if I would agree with DeButton's statement being, putting it on fame, but he's definitely got his finger on some button, which is, this desire to, it's kind of the need to be objectified in a way.
Mm.
It's an impersonal kind of a approach to being loved. This is being loved by strangers or being loved by.
And isn't that safe, right? It's safe if we keep it parasocial
Okay, but it
one-sided.
also means that we were objectified at some point. At some point, we became objects to ourselves. Like
Mm.
we didn't. We stopped being subjects. We stopped validating our subjectiveness in a way. I know this is sounding fucking
No,
theoretical
it's
now, but
great.
but just the idea that you could sit in your skin and enjoy the day and enjoy the sensations coming your way and the people in your life, and
Mm.
just be a subject, just be a thinking, feeling, heartfelt, soulful thing. No, I'm an object. I've been objectified in some way. And I'm aware of that in my life. I was comfortable from a very young age being watched. And I don't know what that comes from. It was in sports. I liked being in front of a crowd. I liked playing sports in front of people. And I was comfortable with it. So
Mm.
there's something in me that was comfortable with being an object. And that continues to this day, I guess. Um,
That's funny. So John C. Riley just did the pod, and he was, in my mind, famously disagreed with this statement. But going with what you're talking about, well, Ted Danson is this quote. Everybody knows. I ask every actor that does the show, I ask them this question. Ted Danson has this quote that I love. He does a take, he walks back to his other actors, and he goes, "Isn't acting embarrassing?" And I find that really funny. That
yeah.
it's like pretending is kind of a transparent thing to do, meaning everyone knows you didn't just see an alien that turned into a lizard. Like you were faking it. So to me, as kind of a performer, when I do acting, I find like a lot of my job is getting over the sort of embarrassment of playing pretend. But it sounds like you like being watched. Do you feel that way as an actor? Like it's not embarrassing, it's natural, it's normal. Like, hey, look at this. Or are you kind of like, are you still David going like, this is kind of weird. I was just talking to
Oh,
the
I've always been embarrassed by it. No, I have. I mean, I've always been embarrassed by the need to do
Okay,
it.
the need. What
I've
about
been,
actually doing it? Is that embarrassing as well?
it's silly, you know,
That's sort of what I'm getting at. Maybe that's a better way
but
to
that
put it.
doesn't mean it's not beautiful. You
Yes.
know,
No, it's
it,
all silly.
the
There's a
silliest
hum.
things are the most beautiful things. I mean, what I mean, it's more beautiful for being ridiculous, you know, and
Mm,
and it obviously has a value in the culture because people pay us a bunch of money to do it. So there's a service that's going on. People love stories. They like to see people go through stories.
mm,
I understand it's like a service, you know, like it's not curing anything, but we're storytelling animals and we like to see the stories. We love that. We want to go on those rides, and that's legitimate. It's legitimate to be in the center of something like that. But I think when I think about why I became an actor, aside from like talking about objectifying myself, um, it's also I grew up kind of being an intellectual kid. I was an athlete, but my mother my mother really drove home the need for me to do well in school, mostly because it was just a safety net for life. That I'd get a decent job, or she came from no money. My father came from no money. So, but I was raised by my mom, and it was very the gutter. She's Scottish. She would also, wind up in the gutter,
mm,
if you don't get this A or that A or whatever. And it was stressful,
mm.
stressful. It sounds laughable when I say it out loud now, but it's stressful for a kid. And again, I'm not blaming her.
Yeah,
She came from a tough time.
right.
And a
But we
tough
can honor, I relate to that. I was so stressed out in school, I had a bald spot on the side of my head. I was just like, this is life and death. So while I appreciate, as I did, saying we're not pointing fingers, we're not, uh, making ourselves victims or whatever, we can also
No,
honor, like when you're little and you were little, even in high school, you're still
yeah.
little. It's like you can't differentiate what is and isn't the end of the world.
No, I don't think they're doing brain studies now, and I've got a 21-year-old son, and there are people that tell me like the male brain isn't complete until 25 or some
Wow.
ridiculous like that.
Wow.
I
That's
could
why
have
Enterprise won't let you rent a car until 25.
I could have just made that up.
It's all good. Welcome to podcasting.
Might be 25 months. I don't know. So, but for me, like getting back to what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say about what acting means to me, aside from being silly, and I love Marlon Brando, my favorite actor, and he hated acting, I think. I mean, he
Mm,
was a genius, but he thought of it as ridiculous, and the wearing of makeup and all this stuff. It's like what a ridiculous way for a man to make a living.
mm,
And he's like my touchstone. But for me, coming out of like an intellectual background where emotions were not the coin of the realm. It wasn't what I felt wasn't the important thing, is what I thought was important.
Mm.
And then I was going to be writing and I stumbled into acting class because I thought I should learn something about acting if I was going to write for the stage or for screenplays or whatever it is I thought I was going to be doing. And lo and behold, I was in this world where that was the thing that you got validated for. It was not what you thought, but what you felt.
Mm.
And all of a
It's
sudden,
exactly the deficit, right? I mean,
yeah,
here we are. We're on the playground now.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And ah, I was like, wait, I can do all these things and nobody's gonna get hurt, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, my mom's single mom, tough life, fragile, you know, prone to depression. So me being contrary or me having problems in my life were not cool. That wasn't part of the deal. I was going to
Mm.
be perfect.
Mm.
But here was a space where that shit
Yeah.
didn't fly at all. You
Yeah.
know, it was the opposite, and nobody got hurt. I
Yeah.
didn't hurt my mom.
Yep.
I didn't hurt the other acters. You know,
Wow.
like I could yell in their face
Wow.
and feel the anger that I felt underneath it all. And then we go out and hug, you know, and it
Wow.
all felt amazing. So,
Yeah, see, you're okay for everything you're saying is so beautiful and it helps me understand. So my wife left me when I was 28. That's what Crashing is about. And we
uh,
did this scene where we have this big fight and Judd is directing and you know Judd loves a good relationship fight, so he's turning up the volume. I probably wrote it very like how it
did he have the
actually
mic? Did he have the microphone yet? Was he
you know,
pitching the
honestly,
mic?
dude, it's one of my greatest acting achievements. Thank you for asking. Is that he stopped directing us during the fight, and he told me afterwards that that was a tip of the hat. So thank you for that self-serving moment
Right.
because I felt so proud. It was one of the first acting things I did. It was very emotional, and he was like not interjecting with the
Right.
mic, which Judd sort of famously. I think McKay too. They they yell out lines into the mic.
Yeah, they're just yelling out alts, you know.
Exactly, which is awesome. Every one of them is a
I
little
loved
gift.
it.
Yeah.
There was one time he yelled out an alt. I didn't understand it. And I just said it like a question.
Yeah. That's a good
And
man.
yeah,
Did it make the movie? Was this the bubble?
yeah, it was the bubble. I don't know if it made it in, but you know, I'm having a scene with Leslie Mann, who's plays my on again, off again wife, and it's his wife.
Yeah.
And we've adopted a boy, like a 10-year-old boy, just to make us look good. We're fucked up actors, and so we've adopted this Latinx boy to make us look like we're cool. And I clearly have not that much interest in him, and I'm just trying to bed Leslie again in the scene. And I'm saying, you know, she's saying, "Don't look at me like that." I'm like, I don't even know how am I looking at you? She's like, you know what you're doing. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And Judd goes, and she goes, okay, we're only going to talk about our son. Okay. And I can't remember the kid's name, but Judd goes, well, our son looks really good in that dress tonight. But I didn't get it. I was like sitting there out there in the scene and I was like, well, our son looks really good in that dress tonight.
That is great. That is, and you said it anyway.
Yes, I did.
That's trusting your director.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love that. So to your point though, in real life, when my real wife really left me,
Yeah.
I was very quiet. You're bringing up all these thoughts as a
So
child. Yeah,
wait, I don't want to like get into, you know,
you,
your shit, but how open are you going to be with me? Yeah.
uh, very good. David Duchovny.
So when she you're saying she left you, it was
Yeah.
just she lowered the boom, said I'm leaving, and you're quiet, or was it a process of days,
Well,
months,
it
years?
was, I can tell this story, I think, pretty quickly. We were living in Brooklyn because I wanted to be a comedian and she had been following me around. I started noticing this distance. We moved to Sleepy Hollow, New York,
Yeah, yeah,
upstate,
sure. Yeah,
Tarrytown, basically,
yeah.
because she was from the country and she wanted to be in the country. And I was like, oh, this will fix everything. We go up there and it gets worse. There's more and more distance. Like you can feel it. I was a baby boy. I was 28 years old, so I didn't know what was going on. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. You know, you're in bed with backs to each other and you're just like, what the fuck? I thought it was because we weren't seeing each other because now I'm commuting into New
Right.
York City to do 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes of stand-up comedy, 11 p.m. in the Village, and then going back 2 hours was
Wow.
hell. I go home and she's distant, and I'm like, well, this move isn't working.
Right.
Lo and behold, she was having an affair. She had been having an affair. She tells me, and I was like, the picture of naivety, I just didn't know. I didn't see it coming at
Mm.
all. And there was no fight. Because to your point, growing up as kids, that feeling like there isn't enough room for my feelings. Again,
Mm.
everybody did the best they could, but
Right.
I felt more like the lion tamer for
Right.
other people's feelings. So having learned that pattern, here's this devastating moment. There's no fight. There's no moment of like, how dare you? I trusted you. There's none of it. Cut to all these years later doing crashing and, yelling and
Yeah.
letting it out and saying things that you felt. And so exactly to your point, I was like, this is wonderful. This is people pay in therapy to do role playing like that,
Right.
because it heals you.
Yeah.
Which actually goes back to what you said earlier about acting. It's like, we're not curing anything. And I don't want to be too self-involved actors, but I would say you mentioned poetry. I know you're into literature. How many times has your heart been healed by Mary Oliver? I mean, how many times has whoever your person is
Right.
probably prevented a disease from forming because you felt represented on a page of a book, right? I mean, that happens.
Oh yeah, of course. And I hope this doesn't sound super egotistical, but it happens with my own work sometimes, like when
Yeah.
it's good enough. And especially having written novels now, and it's just to like hold it in my hand and to look at some of the passages that I would have forgotten, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I'll go, I'm happy leaving that behind. I my thoughts turn to death a lot. I'm not being morbid, but I think about what I leave behind.
Mm.
Not that it really matters. I don't like talking about legacy and shit. Like I always like when athletes talk about that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares about the legacy? But
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm leaving some expressions behind. Some whether it's in some movies and television shows, or whether it's music, or whether it's in the books.
Yeah.
There's parts that are really exactly what I came here to do, like that I'm looking through my own eyes and feeling with my own heart, and thinking with my own brain, and that's the all those things can come together occasionally. And the
Hmm.
rest of it is super silly and embarrassing.
But the vehicle might be silly, but the result. Sometimes I try to remember what a movie meant to me when I was
Uh,
17 years old. You know what I mean? For me,
yeah.
it was Good Will Hunting. I went and I saw it. It changed my life. I was like, you can leave Boston. I'm from Boston. I was like, you can leave? Like that movie ends with Matt Damon doing the impossible, which is
Right,
leaving Boston. Also,
right.
I mean, there's so many movies. Mulaney has the great line where he goes, in all Boston movies, the antagonist is Boston. Like it's like you're trying to just
Yeah,
leave Boston.
right.
And when I saw that in a movie, so like I'll do you one worse though, meaning not egotistical, but to take it up a realm. Richard Rohr, the Franciscan, he's a teacher of mine, and he's a beautiful man. He says that the meaning of life is to humbly and proudly return what you've been given, right?
Mm,
So you were
mm.
given all of this experience. So there's a paradox there, being
Yeah,
humble about it, but
yeah,
also being proud about it. That feels like acting to me. That feels like writing to me.
yeah, yeah.
Like you should be kind of ashamed, and you sort of are. It's a little
Oh, yeah,
embarrassing, but you
yeah,
do it anyway.
yeah.
But we're in this place that is creation and
Well,
is flow and expression. And when you merge, and I want to put this all back to you, but when you merge in that river of movement, of honest moving, if it's honest acting, writing, directing, whatever you're doing, aren't you sort of in sync with the nature of reality?
um, you're in sync with something, you know. I think you're in sync with what resonates to me in what you say is giving back, because and going back to my mother again and education.
Mm,
I went to graduate school in English literature to get a PhD. I didn't get my PhD, but I almost did. I got close.
mm.
So I read books and poems, um, and I sat my orals. And when you sit your orals for PhD, you have to be responsible for 10 out of 12 subjects. And those subjects are like Shakespeare is one. Um,
Wow. This is the oral
Nike,
exam. They're
Yeah.
gonna where
It's an
the
oral exam. You got nothing with you. You might as well be fucking naked.
yeah.
You're just walking. You don't have a phone. It was before phones anyway. You can't look anything up.
Yeah. And there's a board of scary like
Bored of scary
professors.
professor.
Yeah. And they go, do they call you Mr. Duchovny? Mr. Duchovny, what is your feeling?
Probably. I don't remember. I I just
Yeah.
remember walking from my apartment to my oral exam, and it was snowing because you do 2 years of classwork and teaching. Is this boring?
I'm loving this.
Okay, so you do two years of classwork.
I actually was just thinking you're going to be, I know you already did your podcast, but you're great for what it's worth. Now I'm interrupting, but you do 2 years of classwork. Go, keep going. You're doing
Yeah,
wonderful.
2 years of classwork, but you're also a teaching assistant. Um, and apparently, I had Sean Levy as one of my students. I
Oh, really?
found out much later. I didn't remember him, but well, because he was one of many. And
Yes.
so um, they give you a full semester after your 2 years to go and just read. So I'd spent the last 5 months reading probably 10 to 12 hours a day, trying to shore up the gaps in my knowledge for these 10 of 12 subjects. Like I
Wow.
punted on Beowulf. Like I knew I wasn't going to get that. So I punted on a couple subjects, but I had 10 to do. And it's like 19th century poetry,
Wow.
early novel. So these huge subjects, all of Shakespeare, not just the plays, but the poems and the sonnets and everything.
What?
Because they can go in, they can fuck with you if they want to,
It sounds like the whole thing is designed to fuck with you. None of this sounds like it's designed to make you succeed. I mean, are we mad about this? I'm a little mad. It's also just
No,
favoring
this is what I'm getting at.
go
I'm,
ahead.
I'm not mad at all. So
I'm
I'm
mad.
I'm walking to that meeting on is it High Street, New Haven, and I just had the sensation that my head was the size of a blimp
Hmm.
because it truly felt like that. Like I couldn't get anything else in there. I mean, I had just been reading for 4 months every day. And in fact, I was living with a woman at the time and I wasn't paying a lot of attention to her. And she came to find me in the library. And there was like three of us graduate students together. And later that night, I came home and she said, I have to apologize because I saw the way they look and I understand now what you're going through. Just
Wow.
this haunted, pale, malnourished, worried kind of a state. So I get in there and so anyway, the orals was fine. I passed them, and the scary professors were kind, and they don't actually try and do gotcha stuff. They want in the best sense, and what I feel like is wrong with American education is they often test for what you don't know. They don't test for what you do know, and
Mm,
I feel like it would be a much better educational system if we tested for what they do know. You
mm.
know and get them excited about what they know rather than scared about what they don't know.
I love that. I love that. I've already trying to tell she's only 5, but I try to tell my daughter, like, it's like learning is stealing, like to make it sexy. Like you're stealing, you're taking these, like
That's
art
good.
is stealing. It's
Yeah.
sexy. Art, learning will help you meet people. It'll get you better friends. It'll get you better food.
This is
It'll
all
get you
good.
better hotels.
I don't know about that,
It'll
but
get you better hotels, David. I
you
would
had
not
you
have
had me. You had me
until
up
hotels.
food. The food thing was weird.
Well, because you're going to get a better job.
Okay. All
And
right.
then you're going to be eating better food probably.
All
But
right.
it's certainly, to take it back when I still had you, you are going to make very interesting friends, and I'm also implying you're going to have better relationships. You're going to be interesting because you
You'll be
took.
interested in yourself.
Yeah, that
That's
too.
the thing. It's like fuck other people. You're gonna
Yeah,
have thoughts.
yeah. Show yourself some respect and put some good stuff in there. You remind
Yes.
me, Joseph Campbell, I remember before he started teaching, went off into the woods. It's like that mythic
Yeah.
kind of trope. And you did that. You read for 12. Were you taking notes or you just
I'm
cramming it
sure.
in?
I'm sure I was taking. I mean, if I run across a book from that time that I was using, all my notes are in the margins. This when before we read electronically, you could actually
Wow.
read with a pen. I like reading with a pen because I like having
Yeah.
thoughts and writing them in the margins, even if I never come back to it. But what I was getting to from the beginning of that story was you mentioned humbly and proudly giving back. Is that what you said?
Returning what you've been given.
Right.
Yeah.
Returning what you've been given. So it took me, I published my first novel when I was 55.
So
So
last year.
yeah, last year. So it took me 30 years to start to give that back. And
Mm.
once I started to give it back, I realized how deeply all that stuff was in me and how much I loved it and how much I loved being in the conversation. And that's how I see it. My work is a conversation with what I was given. So I'm like these books started a conversation in my head, and now I'm finally, and not that everybody has to write a novel to have a conversation, but that's my way of joining the party
Mm.
and saying I respect that party, and that party means a lot to me.
Mm.
And so yeah, I do respond to your line about humble, even though I can't get it right. But
No,
humble,
you actually kind of, you didn't, I wouldn't say you improved it, but you did make it quicker. Humbly and proudly giving back is what you said, but which is returning what you've been given. So you did make it a little more succinct.
yeah.
Weirdos, I am so excited to introduce a new Pete's Pick, which has improved the quality of my sleep since the first time I used it. I've been absolutely hooked. It's a dramatic and drastic difference in my life because it's dramatically and drastically improved my sleep, and it is hostage tape. You've probably seen it on social media. These guys are everywhere. If you're like me, you were skeptical. You thought mouth taping was insane, even if you've heard Dr. Huberman talk about the benefits, even if breathing through your nose means like 20% more oxygen, which is incredible for your sleep, for your brain, for your body. Even if mouth tape reduces your risk of sleep apnea, even if it helps with snoring, in my case, eliminated it overnight, literally, much to Val's delight and my daughter's delight. Even if it helps with oral hygiene and bad breath, I was still worried that if I put on mouth tape, I would feel trapped or claustrophobic or would have restricted, difficult breathing. But I put it on and boom, just like that, it was the opposite. Immediately, your brain just gets the message, oh, it's gentle. Oh, I guess we're breathing through our nose. No problem. Got it. Done. I literally didn't think about it until the morning when I was peeling it off after an incredible night's rest where I dreamt the whole night. So not only did I feel fantastic and ready to start my day, I had literally memories of epic dreams, and you only dream when you're having deep, restful REM sleep. So I had proof right there that my sleep had improved dramatically. I went from a couple dreams here and there to a night of dreams because of my deep, deep sleep, because of hostage tape. I said it kind of weird. Because of hostage tape. I tried it once. I'm hooked for life. I've tried other brands in the past, and I hated it. It was the way it smelled, the way it stayed on, too strong. Hostage tape is perfect. It doesn't smell like super glue right under your nose, and it's the perfect mix of strong and gentle to take off in the morning. Even if you have a beard, it is easy to remove. They are the official sleep and breathing aid of the UFC for a reason. They're the real deal, and we have a special offer. You can try it for free. Just pay $8, $8.95, shipping and handling. You'll get a sample pack and sleep better tonight. Support this show, support your sleep, support your body. $8.95 shipping and handling gets you a free sample pack. Go to hostagetape.com/weird. This is not me reading an ad. This is me telling you about something that has absolutely transformed my life. hostagetape.com/weird. We're also brought to us by our friends at ARMRA. I just took my ARMRA this morning. You've probably also seen ARMRA all over social media as well. These guys are out here. What is it? It is colostrum. What is colostrum? It's the first nutrition we receive in life that contains all of the essential nutrients our bodies need to thrive. And ARMRA colostrum makes little packets and little containers that is a powdered colostrum. Some of them are flavored, which are incredible. Some of them are unflavored. Throw it in water, throw it in a smoothie, and you are getting stuff to reactivate hair growth, glowing skin, reducing inflammation and puffiness in your face and neck, as well as stimulating stem cells to produce collagen and increase elasticity. I'm talking about your metabolism, fortifying your gut health, boosting, igniting your metabolism so you feel less bloated and lighter. I can speak to that. My stomach feels completely different. It feels clear and clean. And basically, when I don't have any food in there, it feels empty now, because I have this support in my life. It also replenishes your microbiome, stabilizing blood sugar and accelerating fat burning, as well as fueling your fitness, performance, and recovery. ARMRA Colostrum. It's a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that rebuild the barriers of your body and fuel cellular health for a host of research-backed health benefits. It's natural, it's sustainable, grass-fed in the USA. They guarantee the highest potency and bioavailability of any colostrum on the market. Try it. Get it in your life. I take it 2-3 times a day. My family will be sick. I'm just rocking it. I've started putting it in Leela's smoothies. It is incredible. Try ARMRA. ARMRA. Try armra.com/weird or enter weird to get 15% off. That's TRYARMRA.com/weird. All right, back to the show.
So I do, and I'm accused in my writing of too much elusiveness, like referring to other authors.
Mhm.
But I do it honestly. I'm not looking shit up.
Mhm.
Maybe if I'm quoting something and I want to get it right, I'll do that, or I'll just kind of paraphrase it. But I have so much in my head still from that 6 months of cramming that
Right.
it looks for places to come out.
And that is, it reminds me of the Picasso thing, like great artists steal. It's like what actually is unique is the bowl. It's not what's in it. It's how those things dance together. Now I'm going to change the metaphor, like in the washing machine of your brain.
Yeah.
You put
Well,
all these interesting things.
I call it compost heap
Even better because
because
it's evolving.
yeah, it's shit.
Yeah.
It's all dead shit, but it's lying there. It's beautiful dead shit. It's
Yeah.
guano, back
Yeah.
guano, very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what I would tell my kids because they grew up just at the cusp of when the phones were omnipresent, way worse now. But yes, the phone has all the knowledge. You don't need to know these things. And I hated memorizing dates and shit like that. I'm not talking about that.
Mm.
Um, but you need a lot of ideas in your head to just sit there inert. A lot of stuff that doesn't seem interesting to know.
Yeah.
If it's all crammed into that brain of yours, eventually they're going to knock into each other, and something is going to spark.
And you're
Some
also,
new thing is going to happen.
that's exactly right. And isn't it weird? Like, why is something more interesting to you? That goes
Right.
back to how you were raised, but you become this incredibly interesting searchlight. Like you're your own search engine. You and I could listen to the same lecture and would
Right.
write down and underline a different thing. And
Yeah.
isn't that just exactly what we're doing here? We're all holding different parts of the mystery and somehow we all come together and hold it all up together.
Yeah, and that's, to go back to the wound, that's what usually, you have to like be thankful for that wound because it gave you,
Yeah,
it crushed your lens a little differently,
that's
made you
exactly.
nearsighted or farsighted or whatever, but it's like gave you a vision
Yeah,
in your quest to heal yourself or to understand yourself or to understand those who raised you or those you loved or whatever is really that's you giving back, that's you
that's right.
giving back to the
I
world.
I was just going through just this morning. My wife and I went to coffee, and I was complaining about something my mother did. Just said pretty innocently, but it really sent me off the rails. And I said to Val, having had a coffee and a little conversation to process it, I was like, at least I'll be useful now. Meaning, we do podcasts together, my wife and I, on Friday.
Mm.
I do this podcast with you. Here it is coming up. I'm like, I'm not very useful until I'm broken. Broken
Mm.
Pete is actually one of my favorite Pete's. He
Right,
could
am I
use a.
getting broken, Pete?
You're
Am I getting
getting, oh yeah, this whole
oh,
week. You know what it is? It's very
Pete,
simple.
you want to tell me what it was? What happened with your mom, Pete?
I know I will tell you.
Yeah, I
It's
want to hear.
it's my parents had a very tumultuous relationship, and it's their 50th wedding anniversary. And my mom keeps asking me to do more and more things. Like I'm going, and I keep telling her I go, my presence is the present. Like that's what I'm doing. But she keeps asking me to like the ask that for some reason it was like the third or fourth. And by the way, I don't know. People can judge this if they want. It's a very complicated relationship. That's what I'll say. So when she was like, "Can you print up photos of me and dad for the party?" And I just like I basically white out. I'm this close to shaking that, and
Right.
then Val is helping me. She's going, Pete. And again, my parents, I've done my best to forgive them. It's an ongoing process. I love them. I understand as well as I can understand. But that was the relationship that put me in a crock pot and cooked me into a comedian. Jesus Christ. That's not a natural thing.
Oh,
You
wait,
know,
why did you flip out at that? Because she was
because
treating you
she's
like a
asking
party
me to
planner or
help
something?
to be the party planner for a
Right.
relationship that is very complicated for me. Like, will you help us? It kind of feels
Whitewash this.
whitewash it. Yes. It's like, I don't want to overstate it, but it's like the warden at the prison I used to go to being like, will you print up pictures of your time? Remember the yard? And I'm exaggerating, but that is how it feels to child Pete. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And I have to honor that.
right.
Child Pete, that's how he feels. So I start to white out, and then we unpack it, and she helps me understand all of that. And I go, that's good, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are getting flying off the handle at
Right.
seemingly innocuous things. Your mom
Yeah.
asking you to print photos is not a big deal, but we have these like tsunamis of response. And
Yeah.
that is one of the, but at least I'm useful. I'm like, I'm not much use if I just walk around going like, and I've forgiven them and everything is fine. And I just remember,
Namaste.
yeah,
Namaste.
I try to remember that at her core, my mother is the exact same thing that I am. She's just consciousness. I do that, but that's
Yeah.
intellectual. And
Yeah.
and I need to bring it into my body. And my wife is so good at that. Val is so good at that. It's like, she's like, she was having me do this at coffee. She's like,
That's
touch your
brilliant.
arms,
That's
touch your
brilliant.
arms. Right.
She's grounding you. Yeah.
She goes, touch your arms. Your
Yeah.
extremities are getting no
You're here
love.
now. You're here now.
Exactly. This resonates with you?
Yeah. Yeah. My girlfriend does similar things like that. She
Yeah.
was raised like that. Her father would touch her like that, when
Oh,
she
to
was.
get her in her body.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd never seen that or heard of it.
Was
And
that EFT? Is that what she was
I
doing?
don't know. I don't
Is
know
it
what
like
it is.
this? Is it these points? One, two, three, four, five? And it doesn't matter.
I
I
don't
do
know.
stuff like that
Yeah.
because your body goes into, I'm going to throw this back to you. My Val was like fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I forgot about fawn. And my strategy is fawn, meaning if I tell my parents they're the greatest in the world, everything's a copacetic.
I never
And
heard of fawn.
yeah,
I didn't
me
know fawn
neither.
was part of it.
Me neither. I thought it was a
I
deer or
thought you were
something.
saying fun like a Boston guy.
Fawn. That's more Long Island, but Long Island and Boston is
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
But these coping strategies of going like just tell everybody that they're the best, no room for your feelings, all that sort of stuff, just kind of send it back out. So your girlfriend helps you get in your body. That's interesting. Tell me what that made you think of.
Well, when you were saying that, it made me think of this discussion I had with Gabor, the guy I
Yeah,
mentioned on the
yeah.
podcast, because he's uh he's like 80, and in his book that we talk about, he talks about his wife not picking him up at the airport when she should have, and he's super pissed,
Mm.
and he's this guy who's supposed to handle all the shit, and he's like this little. So
Yes.
we were talking about that, and for him, and I hope I'm not getting him wrong, and maybe he'll hear this and hate me, but for him, it's lengthening the period between the poke and the response. You know, it's because you're never not going to have the response. That's the false hope, is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that point where, and that's what Scientology is the promise of, where I'm not reactive.
You'll never have the reactive mind. Yeah.
Won't have the reactive mind. I will
Yeah.
be, I will be the actor, not the reactor.
Right.
Not possible. Like,
Mm.
especially if it happened pre-verbally, it's not going to happen. But you can lengthen the time between you getting triggered and you lashing out, or leaving your body, or whatever it is,
That's
you're
right.
white out, or however. And then, obviously you have somebody, you've chosen your wife to help you.
To
And
regulate.
yeah, so that's great too that you have somebody to help. But you
Yeah.
can do it yourself as well. You
Yeah.
can do it alone.
Yeah. To me, I've gotten so much mileage. Now I'm just saying this to you as, you know, your new pal. The
Hmm.
deep breath in and the long breath out the mouth. I
Yeah,
can't get over it. It
yeah,
helps so much. I heard Dr. Huberman talking about it. It lowers your cortisol
right.
pretty incredibly. So after that text, I'm in the car, I'm driving to a podcast, I'm just going like I'm alone in the car, so who cares? And I'm telling you 10, 15 of those and your body starts to come back online. And I was like, poor little Pete. He would have loved to known that. He would have
Yeah,
loved,
I
like
know.
7-year-old Pete would have fucking killed to know that.
What did 7-year-old Pete do? He fawned.
7-year-old Pete fawned and he performed, you
He was
know?
funny. He got funny.
And this is maybe when I learned to be an object. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like there's nothing, and again, I'm putting this back to you. It's like, if I can get everyone laughing, what is more comforting than getting, look, I grew up in a house where there's alcohol involved, there's tension, and now I go up in clubs and there's alcohol and there's tension. And
Right.
I turn them in the exact same way I'm not going to say broken, but in the same
Back
way
to the
that I
scene of the crime.
back, they always come back. You in a trench coat, they always come
Yeah.
back. We do.
There. Look at Pete. He's coming. Yeah. I knew you'd be back, Pete. Just a matter of time.
But it's a role play to go like, I know how to calm this dinner down and I know how to calm the Miami Improv down.
How about the fear of not being funny when you know all this shit? How about that fear? How about the fear? Because the fear where they
What's
say
your take?
you're not gonna be a great artist if you go to the shrink. You're
Strongly
not-
disagree.
yeah.
I'm
I,
not even going for mentally well. I'm going for straight up spiritual realization. And I'm like, the more I clear up my shit,
the
the
funnier you
better
are.
I am.
Yeah.
What, like, who made that idea? The devil? You know what I mean? It's just
Who
like
made
such
that
a
idea?
maybe
I don't know.
Bukowski.
There's a lot of bad shrinks out there,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they can do some harm in that way.
Yeah.
It all depends on the practitioner. Like I really feel like bodies of knowledge, there's so many good ones out there. It just depends on whoever's teaching you,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know why I'm mentioning Scientology again because I have no interest in it and I whatever. But if you got a guy who's a great teacher and he happens to be teaching Scientology, you'll get some good shit out of it
Yeah.
just because he's a great teacher. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether it's Buddhism or Judaism or Christianity.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher, then you're going to learn.
I completely agree. In fact, it's so funny. I feel that way about your work as well, as I like hanging out with David. I know you're playing roles,
Right. Yeah.
but sometimes I think as a comedian, I say this all the time, the jokes are an excuse to be in the energy that we're
Right.
creating together.
Yeah. Right.
And I feel that way. I was watching Bucky fucking Dent, and it's
Mm.
wonderful. And I'm very happy for you that your book is becoming this movie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when you come on, I didn't know you were in it. I just threw it on. I was like, oh, he directed it, he wrote it. Here we
Right.
are. And then you're the dad. And this
Mhm.
feeling, I don't want to butter your bread too hard, but I go,
Yeah.
oh, there's that guy. You know what
Right.
I mean? There, it was a familiar,
Mm.
comforting. Oh, I get to hang out
It
with
was like,
this.
I like
This
that compost heap. That's,
exactly.
I like to put my seed in it.
Well, I did call you David Duchovny. Why don't you love me? So
It's
that's a fair
fertilizing
assumption.
me. It's fertilizing me.
Well, it
Yeah.
is,
No,
and
I think
well,
that's right. I think that's right.
yeah, like a date. Alan de Botton also says on a date, you recognize wounds are recognizing one another. And there's
Mm,
something in the way that you react as an actor that resonates with me that I go,
mm,
that's authentic. I feel uncomfortable by the things he feels uncomfortable. I don't know. It's in the eyes, it's in the face, it's in the body. There are all these unconscious, nonverbal things that my body goes, okay, I can become a part of this movie.
yeah,
I see a place for me in you.
right.
Pretty cool.
It's beautiful. I don't want to agree with you
Yeah.
because it'd be unseemly, but I get what you're saying. And I was just thinking about actors that I like being in their space,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes the way it occurs to me is, as much as I think acting is ridiculous, whatever that quote was, or silly,
Yeah.
and I'm ashamed in some ways to be an actor. No, I'm not making a joke.
No, I love it though. The truth is funny to me. It just makes me laugh.
Um, I think I really like actors who seem to love acting,
Yeah.
because it might not be me,
Yeah.
I love it on some level that's not John Travolta to me. Like, I just think he loves acting. I watch him and I just think he's having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I love being in that space. You
Yeah.
know,
Me too.
it's not about the acting.
That's
It's
so,
about he just loves it, man.
and so
I
many
don't even
comedians are
know.
that.
He might hate it. He might hate it. But
Yeah.
what I get is he loved to be on set that day,
Yeah.
he's giving it to me. And
Yeah.
now I'm feeling that love, the love of what you do,
I agree. No, it's an inspired thing to see a person in a state of non-resistance. You know what I mean? This
You-
guy's not mad that they kept him on ice in his trailer for 6
right.
hours.
No,
He's
no,
just
no,
grooving.
no.
He's
And
grooving.
and let me tell you, I will let you know when I'm resisting,
You
and
know,
I will show you in the performance.
that is so great.
I'll let you off, and that's bad. It's bad, bad, bad.
This is not morning radio. You're a small actor. Like you're a, how would you describe it? It's almost like you're a, when I say small, I mean you're doing it with restraint. You're doing it kind of cool. You're doing it cool sounds wrong, but I'm
Mm,
trying to compliment that
I
you're
know.
doing less and
Hmm.
I'm more interested.
Hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell me, this is a very specific question. Are there times when you've gone against that being kind of a thing that you're
Yeah.
known for? One of the things that
Yeah.
comforts me. Have you gone against it and made like a really big move and been like, God, I hope they don't use that take?
Oh yeah. There's certainly that, but there's also been like roles that I'll see that can come my way where I go, okay, this is kind of a big swing for me. Um, and they don't really mean you might not even see it as different, but I go back to like probably like Zoolander, that kind of a thing where I'm
Hmm.
playing, this kind of ridiculous character or the TV set. I feel like I'm a little bigger in that. Or The Estate I did a couple of years ago, played a really goofy, funny character. Or I played
Yeah.
Howard Cosell on The History of the World. I mean, it's like
Right.
I'm
Right.
I'm on there for 35 seconds, but for me, it was like, yeah, well, okay, I'm doing like sketch comedy kind of
Yeah.
work,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
which I've not done. Or when I did SNL, I do enjoy it because I like that kind of, I like tapping into that energy, which is not my natural
Yeah.
kind of artistic way to go with it. But I do enjoy it and I do respect it and I love it.
Yeah. It's interesting when I watch myself act 99.9% of the time, I'm like, I wish I had done less. And did you come about your style from watching yourself, or was it something you
Yeah.
found in your shoes?
Yeah, I found it through failure, really. I mean, um, when I got to LA, I auditioned my manager, who's no longer my manager, but she used to keep track of how many, she used to tell people how many auditions I didn't get, you know.
What? And
I
you
guess it
fired
was
this person?
like I guess it was like her way of keeping me in line or something, but and
Weird.
it always seemed like a too large a number, but there was a lot and I'd get the feedback. Remember when you were always getting feedback? Remember
Hmm.
feedback?
Feedback.
Fucking feedback. What's the feedback? What's the feedback? Okay, feedback is not good. The feedback is not good. Feedback is great. The feedback was great. Then it's not going to be you, but the
They're
feedback was
going
great.
in another direction, but they absolutely loved you.
They love you.
You know
They're
what
looking
sucks about
for,
that, by the way, is that works on me. When my agent goes, they loved you, I'm
yeah.
like, they loved me. They
That's
know
enough. I
just
don't.
how to
I
handle
don't even
us.
need the job. I don't even
Yeah.
need the job.
I don't
I
need
just
the
want
job.
the
That was
love.
enough. That was enough.
What
Yeah.
you were going for. You just wanted the love,
That's right.
not the job.
God, they got
So
us dialed in.
so I get flat or movie star. That was one I got a lot. Like because I was auditioning for like television. It was like, oh, he's a movie star, and I was like, I can't make my rent. I'm not a movie star. I'd like really
Wow.
like this TV job. So I knew what I was doing was because back then there was a distinction. This is like 1989, 1990. There was a pretty strong distinction between TV acting and
Yeah.
film acting.
And X-Files sort of changed that. NYPD
Well,
Blue,
a little bit, a little
X-Files.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Certainly in
bit like,
Sopranos.
yeah. And then of course, cable.
Yeah, there.
And now the distinction is erased. It may maybe even be weighted the other way now, where you can
No,
actually do
you
more
can be
subtle
a
stuff on
bigger star
television.
if you're on a huge TV.
Not just a bigger star, but the work you can do is more, you can be more subtle actually, and
Yeah,
rather than Avengers 22 or whatever, it's
right,
like
right.
it might be weighted the other way now, but then, TV was, I don't want to badmouth the shows that I love, like Star Trek or whatever, but it was,
Yeah,
it wasn't considered the same caliber as great film acting, like in The
right. It was a
Godfather.
volume medium. It was like we can do 1,000 of these,
Right, right.
as opposed to Breaking Bad, which is
Yeah,
reminding me of the X-Files episode that had
yeah. That's where Brian met Vince. That's where
and that
Vince.
yeah, that's right. X-Files was the beginning of Breaking Bad. I forgot
Yes, it
about that.
was. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Um, yeah, Vince was going to choose one of those actors in that car, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me. So
You would have been a great Walter White. No shit. You would have been a great Walter White.
Vince is so good, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would get flat. Uh, Flat was the negative. Movie star was the positive.
Mm.
And I just knew, like, even if, or he's doing nothing. He's not doing anything. He's
Mm.
he's
Yeah.
not doing anything.
Yeah.
And even if it was like, if I thought I was being deadpan funny, which is something I aspire to, like Buster Keaton is like a god to me and stuff like that. So, um, but I knew that I was up to something. I knew I was doing
Mm.
something. And I knew possibly I had to work on my craft a little more so that people could see it. But I also knew that that was my natural, like, wavelength, and that was the way I was going to do it. Like, that was my take on acting, was going to be doing it this way.
Was it
And
because you hadn't seen it? Were you like, I know this is real because it's me and I haven't seen
yeah,
it, so I'm going to keep ringing the bell.
yeah,
It was like
yeah.
that.
No, I didn't look at it. I I almost got fired from one of the first movies I uh, I got, called The Rapture,
Mm.
which was a really good independent movie in like 1990, and I got sent home with dailies to, like, I don't remember how it was phrased, but it was basically like, take a look at how bad you are or something like that. Um, and I invited my friend Dinah Kirgo, who's a writer, and I said, "Can you watch these with me? Because I'm not going to be able to look at it objectively, and I just need to know
Mm.
if I should quit or what." I mean, no, really, I was like, it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And we watched the dailies, and we were both like, "Yeah, you're fine" is going to sound like damning with faint praise, but we're both like, "You're good, you're fine,
Yeah.
you're a legitimate actor. I mean, I buy it, whatever." Um, so even when I was starting to work, there was a little pushback, I guess, and some of it I had
Why
to.
didn't they fire you? Did you turn it
I
up?
don't know. I don't remember why they didn't fire me. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it was too late.
If
But
they fired you, who is the number one call? If
who
you
they
don't
gonna
get the
get?
job, they go to Ruffalo. Who do they go to? What are they doing?
I
Who's
don't
your
know.
nemesis?
Oh, at that time,
Yeah.
I really had it in for Billy Baldwin.
Billy Baldwin was always scooping you.
Yeah, he was doing Backdraft. He was doing like these big movies. I was like, fuck that guy.
But all right, all right. I
You
wonder
know,
if your style, go ahead.
my daughter's acting. She's 24. She's doing quite well, but like all actors, she'll sometimes say, "Oh, that person, that person." I was like, "Don't worry about it because it's going to change.
Mm,
There's
right.
going to be another new person that you're going to hate."
Right,
Yeah,
right. I'm
yeah,
not trying to put down Bobcat Goldthwait. He's a great writer, director now, but sometimes when someone flares up in the comedy scene, people will go Bobcat Goldthwait. Because there
right.
was a time, again, Bob, full respect.
Yeah,
He's a pal. I love him. But when he was the number one stand-up comedian,
yeah,
don't forget these things change. And I could name a dozen more that flare up. And when it's happening, it seems like this is what it is. And then when it goes away, I just had my friend Jonathan Kite on the show. He's like, well, I do impressions. And it's so funny. If I do an impression of an actor who's not currently in a movie, people actually hate it. And he's like, I'm doing Giamatti again because of the holdovers. But then if Giamatti takes a little break, we don't want to hear Giamatti. I was like, we're so fickle.
Can I hear your Giamatti?
He does it.
Oh, he does it.
Well. Isn't that good? Well, David Duchovny. It's great to see you. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, he's like always at the end of his breath.
He's at the end of his breath and the end of his rope. That's what I thought. He's really all right. Yeah.
He's about to explode.
You know, I was almost Mulder.
It's the grimace, the smile that is a grimace.
It is. A great and easy way to support the show is to try Living Libations, who make incredible, high-end, powerful, effective, but natural. That's the big difference. Natural health, skin, hair, beauty, eyes, teeth, baby products. So if you have something in your life that you are putting on your skin, which ends up getting into your system, a lot of the stuff that we're buying just down at the street corner pharmacy stuff, filled with toxicity levels that were never intended for humans. I was definitely doing this for years, buying face creams, moisturizers, stuff that I thought were fancy because they had French names and they were expensive, to be honest. But then I made the swap to Living Libations because I want to eat food where I recognize the ingredients and I want my skincare to be the same. So I use their Best Skin Ever moisturizer. So does Val every single night. I love it. And the bottle lasts forever. I swear I've had the same bottle, it feels like, for over a year. It's awesome. I use their Zen Shave Cream because that blue goo in a pressurized can from 7-Eleven can't be good for you. It's terrible. So I'm using stuff where you recognize every single ingredient and you can pronounce it. So this is a great way. Get something small, get something big, do what we did and do a complete overhaul of your medicine cabinet or your beauty cabinet. Living Libations has a wonderful alternative that is effective for your skin, your hair, your eyes, your teeth, even baby care. Sunblock. Now that we're rolling into summer, we use their Love the Sun zinc-based sunblock, which is wonderful for kids. Great feeling to know you're putting something natural on your kids that works. It's a great way to support the show, so try it. Living Libations, I promise, has a premium, natural, and wonderful product to replace a random chemical nightmare you might buy at a 7-Eleven. Give it a try. It's a great way to support the show, support your body, support your health, support your beauty, support your skin, support everything. Go to livinglibations.com/weird. You will get 15% off and you'll support the show. That's livinglibations.com/weird. I'm also wearing it right here. This is my Apollo Neuro. This is a piece of wearable tech that I absolutely love. This is what the screen looks like. I'm trying to do it. Energy, social, focus, recover, calm, unwind, and the last one at the bottom there is sleep. What does that mean? Apollo Neuro sends these almost sub-perceptual. You can turn it down real low, which is what I do, or you can turn it up real high if you want to feel it. But it sends vibrations because vibrations is like the language of your nervous system, and it tells you that you are basically being held. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you recover from stress by sending those vibrations into your body, giving you the sensation of being touched. Apollo can help you, as I showed you, relax, sleep, focus, be more productive. If I'm nodding off behind the wheel, I put it on energy. Energy, the subtitle of that one is When You're Seeking Espresso. It's a wonderful way to boost your heart rate and get going. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system using touch therapy to help you feel safe and in control. Val wears hers on her ankle. I wear mine on my wrist. Apollo Neuro is like finding the fuse box for your emotions. It's like finding it in your garage. You open it up and there it is. Energy, social, clear and focus, rebuild, recover, calm, unwind, and fall asleep. If the only thing this did was help me fall asleep and stay asleep, I would be shouting it from the rooftops, but it does all of those things. It's not woo-woo, as I always say. It's not a crystal. It was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who have been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. And Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. The focus setting, which I use all the time, is incredible and has helped people with symptoms of ADD. I'm a person with symptoms of ADD, and I absolutely feel a difference. physically getting in from the outside into my body, dialing me in. Incredible. So you can get $40 off. Give it a try. Give one away. We've given them to kids. We've given them to friends. We swear by them for years. Give it a try. It is such a life hack for me. ApolloNeuro.com/weird and use promo code weird for $40 off. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird. All right, everybody, back to the show. Was there a famous Almost Mulder?
No, I don't think so.
It wasn't like Almost Will Smith or something.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, there were just like two of us, I think, that tested for that role, as I recall.
But you beat Billy Bowman.
Billy, yeah, I mean, Billy was he's really good, and had his ups and downs and everything. But for some reason, I had it in my head like he was mowing my lawn. I was like, he's getting everything.
Stop mowing my lawn.
Just,
so I'm sorry I interrupted you. We were talking about how you arrived at your style, and you were talking about your daughter and how things changed. That's how we went off on that tangent. Did you feel completion on what did you say? Dry, small? What? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. But the less is more. I like less is more.
Yeah, maybe less is more. I don't know. It's just the way I do it. And I'm not saying it's better than any other way or worse than any other way, or that I can't do any other style. I would need like help and support to come at it in a different way. And I'd love to. I'd love to try, but I'm always going to try to find the truth. And if it starts to feel like just, I guess the way I put it is like, if I feel like it's just a point of view that I'm seeing and not a character, like sometimes I feel like when you get big or when you go for things, it's like you're almost commenting on it, and not just actually doing
like a boardwalk caricature. You're exaggerating it to make it funnier.
So that the people who can't hear can hear, and that's legitimate, because they need to hear stuff too. But just depends on what you think your audience is.
That's true. We need pop music. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we need pop music. Pop music is actually beautiful. We need hooks. And maybe it'll get you into something else, something more subtle or whatever, but like who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
I think that's really fun. Do you get the UFO question now that UFOs are fucking everywhere?
I do, but I just have nothing interesting to say about it.
That's okay. People must. Well, then let me ask you this: how do you find being David Duchovny in the public sphere? Like people asking you about UFOs, people want to say this or that. Do you enjoy this life that you've built, that you've worked so hard?
It's funny because I think I spoke earlier about being misunderstood and how painful that is. And I guess initially when I was misunderstood for my character, which is it's an understandable thing, because that's how people know me.
You were talking about Mulder?
Yeah.
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 And when you say misunderstood, what do you mean? What do you like?
They think that I'm Mulder.
People mistaking you for Mulder. Yeah. It's Robin Williams. Hey, Mork. Remember that story? He won an Academy Award. Next morning, someone yelled, "Hey, Mork." And he was like, "Oh, nothing's changed."
Right. Right. So, but in like the heyday of it, and it's not just, most people don't think that I'm Mulder, but they'll call me that, or they'll ask me questions about UFOs, or think that I'm interested in it. So at first it was frustrating because the ego on me was like, I think I'm way more interesting than that fucking guy. Ask me a question.
Yeah.
Ask me what I think about things that I'm interested in.
Right.
But that's just the ego and immaturity. And eventually I just come, and it's not 100%. It's not always like, I'm not always great at it, but eventually I just come to 100% gratitude of like, holy shit, like it meant something to people. It still means something to people. They want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I spent a long time and a lot of energy and a lot of my life force doing it. Why not honor it and say, okay, we can have that discussion, you
Yeah.
know?
You know those Tom Cruise stories where people say, "Show me the money," and he'll just say it right back to them?
Right.
I
Yeah.
always take such, I don't know, I do find it inspiring that he's not like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
look, there's a way to do that that's fake, that you're
Right.
just kind of like hitting the ball back because that's the quickest way out. But I think he's doing it in really like I know, I was Jerry
Yeah.
Maguire. Can you fucking believe it? That was
Right.
crazy. I think it's you
Yeah.
and Travolta. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, this person has actually found a way, and I'm not in the same sphere as you guys, but like if someone comes up to me now and they say something, and that happens to me, most days, one
Mhm.
time someone will say something,
Right.
I really try to take a moment to look at them and say, that makes my day, and
Right.
and convert it, as I just saw you do it, into gratitude, not a bump of ego.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
cool, but
Right.
like, holy shit, man, life is hard, life is long, life is lonely, and like, you aren't Mulder, and you don't care about
I don't
UFO.
have to prove it to that person, you know?
That's right. Isn't it? This is what I'm hearing you say. Isn't it kind of magical and lovely that we had any exchange? We're here on the
Yeah.
planet
Yeah.
together, and that meant something to you. And I think the best thing you can get from that is gratitude. And that's what I heard you say.
Yeah. And I run into it like if I'm signing books or if I'm playing music, and I don't fool myself that people are interested in, at least at first, in my books or my music because they know me as an actor
Mm.
and they'll want me to like I will get prickly like if they want me to sign this book that was created out of Californication called I forget it's a fake novel written by Hank Moody and they want me to sign it and I'll get a little like but I didn't write it. I'm not sure. Like, do you know what's going on here? Like I've never read it. I don't know what it is I'm signing.
That's your Larry Bird. Who is it? Dr. J. They're choking each other on the court,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Larry won't sign it. That's your chokes
Oh,
on the
Larry won't
court.
sign it.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that people have a boundary, and I'm not
Yeah.
your therapist, but I'm like, that's a fine boundary. You don't want
Yeah. I
to.
didn't I didn't write it. It's like
Yeah,
I won't sign somebody else's book either. Like why would I sign somebody else's book?
yeah,
And I do it's so hard to even break even as a music act when you're touring these days, post COVID and with gas prices up. It's really a difficult time to, as I say, and I just would like to break even. And so what I
mm,
have to do is like meet and greets before a concert,
yeah,
where I will sign and take a picture. And this is how I'm not making money. This is how we break even.
right.
Otherwise, forget it.
This is
Uh,
the 30 seconds to Mars strategy. It's like it's a Jared Leto meet and greet and a concert.
exactly.
I'm not putting down either
Yeah.
group, your
Right.
music or his music. Obviously, I'm not.
Oh, but to be fair, I mean, Pete, there are big bands now that are doing meet and greets.
Of
I mean,
course,
it's like it's bad. It's hard out there.
it is hard out there. No, when
Yeah.
I see Weezer sharing a bill with Green Day, my first thought is actually my first thought is that sounds really fun. I'm glad they're getting to do it together. And then someone else was like, it's because even big bands like won't sell out a
Yeah.
stadium anymore.
Right.
Like huge, like
Yeah.
already rang the bell, already
Yeah. Yeah.
got the
Right.
trophy, and
Right.
it's like so they pair them up, and you don't have
Yeah.
to tell me about selling tickets. I know exactly how it goes, and
So
you
so
do.
I'll do these meet and greets, and people have spent money, and now they want a picture, and they'll want to direct it. They'll be like, can we go back to back like with guns, and stuff like that, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
act like you're scared of an alien and stuff like that, and you know,
Can I
depending
ask
on
you? Can I
depending
ask
on
you?
the day.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe you're not, but you know what? At least your persona, look at my big, dumb, open, goofy face. I feel like a nice, flat Duchovny no is
You,
still kind
you
of
got,
fun.
I've said like, no thanks, no thanks. But I
I
had this,
like no thanks.
yeah. Well, here's I'll tell you quickly.
Yeah.
I hear. this guy comes for a meet and greet, and he's got a little Porsche, like from Californication,
Mm,
and he's got a tiny little hammer, and he wants me to break the headlight because in the show I always had a broken headlight on my Porsche. So
mm,
this is like, and that's totally fine, you know. And I thought, oh, this is kind of what people do at these meet and greets, is, you know, they're.
wow.
And then I realized, you know, I'm playing in Eastern Europe and in countries where I've not been. They haven't seen me ever, and this is the time that, you know, they've grown up with my shows or whatever, and it's kind of it's a moment, you know, and like I know that I'm tired or I've got a show to do later, but fuck me, I should show up
Yeah.
and be grateful for that. Um, and that gets back to the addiction thing, because I was in a 12-step meeting, and I had to go to the Golden Globes, and it was right after all that notoriety um, about going away to rehab. And I was scared of the red carpet because I didn't want people to ask me questions like you. And
Mm,
because I didn't know what to say.
yeah.
And it certainly wasn't any of their business. And my kids were young, and my wife was hurting, you know, and I was like, I'm not gonna fucking do a 5 second
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Like,
A
no,
blurb.
whatever. I don't have
Yeah.
a blurb on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Bomb exploded. I'm standing in rubble. And now you're asking me
Yeah. Yeah.
how's the rubble? How's the rubble doing?
Who dressed you? Rubble.
Still smoking. So I was kind of complaining or just expressing my confusion in this meeting about, well, I don't know how to be,
Mm,
because I knew how to be before that. I knew how to I knew how to do the thing. I knew how to do the carpet. I knew how to make the joke. I knew how to be easy. I knew how to be winning.
mm,
I knew how to do it. And all of a sudden, I didn't know how to do it. And this guy goes, "Why don't you just be grateful that you're there?"
mm.
And I was like, "Oh, I could try that. Never tried gratitude before."
Wow.
Um, so what I did was I was like, "Okay, that's my master plan. It's all I'm going to do. Like, I'm only going to be grateful." So I get like Entertainment Tonight or whatever, you know, one of those silly shows, and it's like, "Oh, David, tough year, huh? Yeah. How's the family? How's Taya?"
Your face.
And I go, "Hey, thank you for asking. It's really nice that you care, and I really appreciate your concern. It's not something I'm talking about right now, but I'm really so thankful that you asked." And I
Yeah.
watched this guy's face go from like, am I poking a bear, to I'm a really good person. I'm an excellent person.
Wait, you did fawn. That's fawn. Fight, fight, freeze, fawn. You fawned the
Yeah.
motherfucker.
I just gratituded him. And I
Yeah.
realized that it was also true. You know, in a perverse way, there was care. Uh, you
You
know,
found the care. Yeah. I love that you shared that and that strategy of reframing even something that is an attack.
intrusive. Yeah, right. An
It's
attack.
worse than intrusive. It's they're looking for
Right. Blood.
money, blood for money.
Yeah.
Like this will more eyeballs, more ads, more
Right.
money
Right.
off your hurt. But to find what's behind, I guess the humanity behind it. And this is what you did. You imposed humanity.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
pushed their humanity back into
And
them.
you can always do that. You
Yeah.
can always do that in any situation. And I think it's good for me to remind myself that it's an option to
Yeah.
be grateful. It's always a good option.
I completely agree.
I don't think I've ever gone, shit, I wish I had been so fucking grateful, you
No.
know.
And they say you can't feel afraid and grateful at the same time. It's funny with that what's next disease that we all have. I think maybe all people, I don't know, but certainly all creatives that I know are kind of thinking about the next thing. And one of the things, speaking of gratitude, that I do in the morning is a gratitude practice where you think of 3 moments for 1 minute each from your
Mm,
life that you can be grateful for.
mm.
And it's better to me, it's better than writing it down. You put on some music and you just do it. And here's the hope that I'm trying to share with you is
Yeah,
even if you weren't enjoying it when you did it, which is certainly the case for me when I was on the
sure.
set of shows I made, you can go back and relive it
Yeah.
from this perspective and go like, oh my God, it's you and you're doing Californication. And
Right.
we it doesn't even have to be a big moment. In fact, it
Right.
often isn't. It's not like
Right.
I nailed that take or did that big moment or there was a big star. Who cares? You were just there. That
Well,
was
that's
incredible.
the funny thing is like if I'm watching by mistake, I don't do it on purpose. If I'm flipping channels and I see X-Files come on, usually X-Files because Californication doesn't really play like X-Files does, but and a show will come on that I don't remember shooting, but I'll
Mm,
remember what I had for lunch that day on set, or I'll remember that week. I don't remember the plot.
yes.
I can't like, how did I memorize those lines? I don't remember those lines are just foreign to me, but I'll have like little flashes of just human laughter, connection, friends that I was hanging out with, what I was doing around that time in my life, even very specifically almost to that episode that I
Yeah.
don't remember, but I remember shooting it
Yeah.
and being in it, as you say, and the process of it. And you talked about like what nextism or whatever you called it. What's nextism?
What next
Yeah.
disease? That's what you called it. I heard you call it on your Vanity Fair thing.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, I have something
I'm
called
so
What's Next Disease.
smart. I'm so
Yeah,
smart.
you're great.
I'm grateful for that.
Eh,
I would say that I don't have, I still have a little bit, but I'm really aware that the only thing that cuts deeply is the process, you know. Like I can be proud of the finished product. Sure, that's a nice feeling. But the process, the all the, we're all just trying to make the show or the movie or the whatever together. We're just doing our best trying to do this thing. And there's just something beautiful about that process and the flow sometimes. Oh, well, yeah, there was one scene that just felt like it was from God, like God just like was with me for
mhm.
that scene. And
Yes. Sorry. Keep going.
yeah, that's it. And so it's really just I guess it's almost a cliche now, but just really embracing that all of life is just process and not result.
I completely agree. And that's what I couldn't wait to tell you. It's written on a lot of things are written on my mirror. One of them is everything is an excuse to love, which sounds like a cliche. But when
No,
you
it
get,
doesn't sound like a cliche to me.
I'm glad. I'm worried that the word love is ruined. Love to me is the recognition that you and I have a shared being, that in our essence, we're exactly the same. And when human beings struggle in the same direction, there's great stories of they're not great in every way, but World War II, London is being bombed, and if you interview the people that lived there at that time, they
I'm
were
in
like, it
London right
was
now.
what's that?
I'm in London right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Well, you go and see the roundabouts with the lions, and there's still holes in them. You see
Yeah.
the bombs
Right.
that dropped. The people at that time said it was the happiest time of their life, and when
Mm,
they look at that psychologically, they're like human beings struggling in the same direction
mm.
reach a level of fulfillment that nothing else can do. And I know it's crazy. Look, I'll equate or liken that to a lot of things, not just acting, but any project. It could be a high school
Yeah.
project,
Right.
a
Yeah.
science project. It doesn't matter how fleeting or
Look at
small.
Waiting for Guffman.
What's that?
Look at Waiting for Guffman.
That's exactly what Waiting for Guffman is about.
Yeah, it's
You
about the
thought it was
love.
about.
They have the love.
That's right. And
That's why
and
we're
you
moved.
did
Or Best in Show. All his movies are about.
and you did Larry Sanders and
Yeah.
Gary when he Gary Shandling when he did the pod. I had heard him say it before though. He said that show was about people who love each other, but show business gets in the way. And I would go farther and say this podcast is an excuse to love each other. This day, every moment is just an excuse to find some connection, and that's why it's so offensive when we blow that and actually make more derisiveness or whatever, or more division.
Yeah. I like the phrase. I like excuse in the phrase. That's why I like
Excuse.
that phrase. Because that surprises me. That's
Yes.
what makes it not a cliche to me.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, no, it's like It's what we were saying about performing too. It's an excuse to hang out in this energy. You thought you
Yeah,
came to hear my new material. We're actually trying to create a little bubble together.
right.
You mentioned at the top, we always end the show by talking a little bit about spirituality. I'm getting the sense that you're interested in that and have
Mm.
some take on it. So I couldn't be more interested is all I'll say. If there have been things that you've found, wait a minute, you are kind of like a Richard Gere type. Are you a Buddhist?
Well, my name means Duchovny means spiritual.
Really?
Actually means Duch is spirit or ghost or teacher or rabbi, as my grandmother would say.
Yeah.
Uh, and Ovnya is like an adjectival ending, like spiritual or ghost-like or
Oh,
rabbi-like.
wow.
Um,
So it's right there in your name.
it's in my name. I can't hide from it. Am I spiritual? Yeah, I'm not. I'm not part of any group or named thing, but that's it's all we've been talking about.
I agree.
That's that's all we've been talking about, and that's when you talk about love, that's the synonym for God. I mean, that's the most used synonym for God. God is love. I mean,
Mm,
it's the same thing, or the Buddhists have a really interesting relationship to it because you know attachment and detachment. How can you be attached to something that's going to die? It's so painful. That's why life is suffering.
mm,
That's why
mm,
they acknowledge that in the first noble truth, life is suffering. Well, because we're these infinite beings doomed to a finite existence. Very painful, very heartbreaking if you
mm,
think about it too much, which you do
mhm,
on some level all the time.
mhm,
And so it's this constant struggle between attachment and detachment. And with acting and with making art, you can attach so intensely to something. And you're going to detach eventually. You know, you know the truth that it's just a fleeting attachment to this job or this joke or this book or this song or this performance. But the beauty of it is really attaching to it.
right.
Even so, you go into the flow and you give yourself up to it. Even so, it's going to break your heart when you have to leave it.
Yeah.
When you detach from it. So I think it's all,
You risk love.
yeah, it's
That's
all.
why we love underdog stories because we're all essentially underdogs. It's maybe not high art.
It's what Bucky fucking Dent is about when he says, I got scared of losing you and I couldn't attach again
Right.
because I realized that being attached to you was too painful,
Yeah.
that it would kill me if
Yeah.
you died.
Yep.
And we're like that too. We have to mature past that point where we're too scared to attach, because it is going to be painful.
I agree. I've actually had moments, I don't know if I can articulate it now, but I've had moments of interconnected feeling,
Mhm.
like a epiphany moment where I'm like, oh my
Ketamine.
God.
Ketamine. It's ketamine, isn't it?
Well, yeah, yeah. This one wasn't ketamine. But it's similar to ketamine, and when it happens and you're just in the back of a car, that's where I was. I think I was being driven somewhere and just looking out the window. And I thought like, oh my God, the most hate-filled people are too scared to love. If there's
Mm.
a group that's being murdered or oppressed, you other them, and that's horrible. And then I was like, but really underneath it, like you on the red carpet, there's love. There's a secret love that it's too painful for you to risk. That's my brother.
Mm.
Or one level further, that's me.
Mm.
That's not another. So
That's my shadow.
what's that?
That's my shadow. That's the me
That's
that
right.
I'm not going to face or that I wish out of
That's
me.
right. And then as long you give them another name,
Yeah.
make all these excuses, a different story, and then it's okay that they're dying or they're being oppressed or they're this or they're that. And Ram Dass talks about how costly it is to love. He says the whole point is to keep your heart open in hell.
Mm.
And that's a very interesting idea. And that's
Yeah.
sort of what we're here to do. You could bring Jesus into it. It's like, look at what they did to Jesus. And the whole thing is keeping his heart open in hell. Is again, Richard Rohr says the first forgiveness. We talk all about the forgiveness of Christianity because the first forgiveness is to forgive reality,
Mm.
is to
Yeah.
forgive. Just look at the nightmare
Yeah.
and then to find your you could say your true self in the midst of that nightmare. Because of the nightmare, you might find your true self.
How do you think Jesus got those abs?
I mean, carpentry was actually different back then.
Well, it was the manual labor, huh? It
Yeah, it
was
was.
like swinging that hammer.
I had a youth pastor that was like, it was more like iron work because he wanted to make Jesus cooler. And I was like, all right, buddy.
Yeah,
All
Jesus,
right.
flash dance. He was like a welder.
I mean, sexy Jesus, we all have to make our peace with sexy Jesus.
It brings people into the pews. Are you
You got
kidding?
to give the people what they want.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. I mean,
Son of, oh my God,
Catholicism
look at
was the
this
first
guy.
rock and roll. They had electric music. They had the organ. That was
That was
that
a,
was a party. I
you're
mean,
absolutely right.
can you imagine being just a regular person? You've never heard a fucking electric guitar. You've
Yeah.
never heard a big drum set. You walk into a church and they hit you with that organ.
Yeah,
You're going to see God.
that's right. That's right.
They hit you with the organ. They blow incense in your face.
Yep.
They give you a little wine. They give you a little snack.
Yep.
Of course you're going to come back.
And if you read The Immortality Key by my pal Brian Murarescu, he's hinting that the wine might have been a little back in the day. Like
What was it?
the
Ketamine?
original Eucharist might have been like ketamine, might have been like
Oh, really? They dosed it?
he thought he makes a very deeply academic. Brian's
Yeah.
never done a psychedelic in his life.
Right.
And I say this with all love and respect, he's exactly who you want to write this book. He's pretty square.
Yeah.
And he's like a real life Indiana Jones. And he's like, there's a Dionysian thing going on here. And anybody that read the New Testament at that time would have known they were talking about psychedelic.
Really?
Eleusis, the Greek, the continuation of,
Eliason? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
the die before you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you done psychedelics?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I haven't done I haven't done the ketamine. I haven't done ayahuasca, but back in the day I did I tripped.
Yeah. Was that impact? Did that have an impact? This is a leading question, but I'm
Yeah.
curious if it informed your
Well,
spiritual path.
you get that knowledge, you get the knowledge that we're all one, and I remember specifically, I was tripping with my buddy, and we were walking down in New York, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I started like responding to other people's conversations because I was convinced that we were all in one conversation,
Yes. Yes. That
and
is psychedelics in one
yeah,
line. That's
yeah,
exactly what it
all the
is.
walls came down. I
Yes.
realized we were just talking. Everybody was talking to each other. It was so loud. I could just hear us like chattering monkeys in the jungle.
Yes.
We were just
Yes.
chattering because we were terrified. And we just wanted to keep each other company. We're not going to die or get hurt. And I was just like, oh, I was talk to you for a minute. And then, oh, I heard a word over here I want to respond to. And it's true, embarrassing, but, um, just holding on to those revelations is the hard part.
That's right. Leaving church, but keeping church in your heart.
Yeah.
That's the whole game. You reminded me, I was in Amsterdam and I took some mushrooms and there were these, is there a funnier language to hear other than Dutch when you're tripping? It was so funny to me. And
Yeah.
these two young women were having a picnic and I was lying on the grass next to them and they're kind of, I'm not going to do an impression of Dutch, but they're having this sort of, to my ear.
You don't want them coming for you. You don't
No,
want them.
not the Dutch. I'm not getting taken down for a silly Dutch attempt. But it sounded very funny to me because I was like, wow, there's another language that's so crazy because separation seems so
Right.
funny.
Right.
And they're unpacking their lunch. And I remember thinking, these women have no idea that I'm at the bottom of their cooler. Like it's me. They're moving the bagels and the bananas and they're gonna find me laying at the bottom of the cooler. And even though that's absurd, it was like I am your lunch and I am you and I'm your language and
You're
it's
Jesus. I am the body and the blood.
exactly
Yeah.
what
You were Jesus.
there's a great Ramana Maharshi quote where he's dying and I think about it all the time and they go, don't leave us. His devotees are like, don't leave us. And he says, don't be silly. Where could I go? And that's exactly,
Right.
I don't think you'll find a more refined summation of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a chance this might be interesting to you, but I think the whole thing is when you have a thought and then it goes away, from where did it come and where did it go? And you notice that there's a consistent field. like the screen in a movie. This is Rupert Spira.
Mm.
Things appear on the screen and then they disappear, but what remained was the screen.
Hmm.
And he would say, we are like conscious screens
Mm.
watching ourselves. And that's great. Fine. Fun thought experiment. But when you're having that hard day
Yeah.
or you're on a long road trip and you're bored and you start going like, let's experientially investigate if that's real. I don't think there's a better game in town than to just step away from David and step into the original name of God. I am. Just what do you mean when you say I?
Right. I've had the experience with writing songs. Just like I know that there's a song in this room right now. I'm going to be too lazy to go write it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick up my guitar and write it. But I know every time I pick up my guitar, I can open myself up to a song, and it's going to be different if I tried today or if I tried tomorrow or the
Wow.
next. And I'm not making any great claims for my songs. They're not coming from God or whatever, but they are coming from a moment, that
Well,
is not ever going to exist again.
and what
Just
else? What a good name for God, a moment that's never going to exist again. I mean, like,
yeah.
this reminds me of the Joan of Arc quote. They say, you talk to God,
Mhm.
but you talk to him in your head. And
Mhm.
Joan of Arc said, where else would I talk to him? And that's a person to me that understands the shared nature of consciousness, meaning there's only one I am. There's only one,
Right.
there's only one light. And we're all sometimes, when somebody our dog died, and I'm explaining it to my daughter, it's like the ocean is the great life, and we're all just cups of water, and then you
Mhm.
pour it back. We're all or an image that I actually did have on ketamine was an octopus, and he's doing a puppet show for himself. But here's the key. He's a joyful octopus. He's
Sure.
smiling. It's for his, you said we chatter. You know how science doesn't know why birds do the pre-dawn chorus? Like I like getting up early in the morning and I hear the
Yeah.
birds starting to chirp because the
Right.
sun's going to come up. And they thought it was mating. It turns out it's not mating. There's no reason for it. And I was like, or it's the same fucking thing. We chirp because we're here.
Just being grateful.
Yes. And I'm just letting you know,
I'm
David,
here.
I love when you said we've been talking about God the whole time, because that's exactly what I'm going for in my life is we don't have to talk about these things directly. We don't have to say I love you, I see you. It's wonderful to share this moment with you. That's just what's happening. We're
Right.
singing before the sun comes up
Right.
because what's the alternative? Sorry,
Right.
I'm getting all now I'm
Well,
flaring up
clearly you
towards
don't
the
have any
conclusion.
peacocks in your neighborhood because you'd want to kill them. You'd want to
That
kill them.
no peacocks. No peacocks. Why are you in London? And then we'll get you out of here. You've been
Shooting
so
an
generous.
Amazon show called Malice. I got another 2 weeks here, and then I'm actually going to go to Greece to finish it up. And I've never been to Greece, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's the cradle of Western civilization, and I couldn't be happier to go check it out for the first time in my life.
It'd be a great time to read the Immortality Key. It would be a
Mortality.
great Brian
Right.
Muraresku, the Immortality
Heard
Key,
of it. All
because
right.
you'll be able to go. It says if you die before you die, you won't die when you die, is the whole
Right.
thing, and you could go to the temple where it says that.
And now let me ask you that a couple of times there's been a thumbs up on the screen.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
What
Look,
is that? Oh,
it's
that's
just it's a
is the
Zoom thing.
bubble.
It's a Zoom thing. I thought it was Robin being like, "Ah, I love that,"
Robin Leventhal. I thought it
but
was
it
Robin
wasn't Robin
Leventhal.
Leventhal. It wasn't Robin Leventhal.
Because here's what I thought. It's only happening when Pete's talking. I don't like it so much.
Well, do a thumbs up. Yeah, back it up a little bit. Get it in frame. Huh. It must be my setting. Don't do that too much. Let's get you out of here. The last question that I
Yes.
love to ask, and I really have enjoyed this very, very much. Thank you.
I, against my will.
Again, you were coerced.
Not coerced. It's just Bucky fucking Dent, it's a small movie. There's no money behind P&A. So it's just like I've got to go everywhere I can go and
Yeah.
and talk, and like this is the form now. And it's intense. I mean, you're good at what you do, and we had an intense conversation. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
I know.
nothing. It's not
It's not.
nothing.
It's not
And
nothing.
my aim is to sell my movie. I want people to see it. That's what I want more than anything. And
Right.
that's kind of bullshit because we're just having a conversation, but underneath it is like I'm trying to do right by something that I love as well. So
Yeah.
a little split. It's a little split.
No, you're right to call it out. It just is. It's
Yeah.
kind of what's happening, I suppose. But for
Yeah.
what it's worth, you seem like a very self-assured person. I thought the movie was wonderful, and I was very happy for you that it came together. And
Thanks. Yeah.
I did have one. Do you want a Bucky Dent question? I was like, are
Sure.
you Danny? Or are you the dad?
Oh, I'm more the son. I mean, I wrote it a while ago,
Yeah.
and I wrote it for myself to play the son, but then I
Mm.
just got too old, and I never thought about playing the dad. And the dad is nothing like my dad. I realized the dad's more like my mom. I think I'm playing my mom in that movie.
Wow. You're back to gender swapping your
Yeah,
first role.
that's right. It is.
And
Yeah.
and here you are. Well, you can't
What was your
well,
last question?
yeah, sorry. I was just going to
Oh
compliment
no.
the movie again. I just thought it was
Okay.
wonderful and people should definitely
Thank
go
you.
check it out. My
Thank
last
you.
question is, can you think of a time in your life when you laughed really, 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 really hard?
Oh God.
And it doesn't have to be a good story, but if tears are streaming down your face or
Yes.
you're falling to the ground, maybe you're a kid, maybe someone farted, maybe it's in a situation where you're
Well,
not supposed to laugh.
well, it's that fart scene in the movie. Uh, it
No
really is.
way.
It really is because well, there's two parts to it. When we were editing it, I had this wonderful editor named Jamie Nelson, and she's such a genius. But she was like, fart scenes. I don't know. We'll screen it, but I feel like you're going to want to cut it. And I was like, it's just because we haven't found the right farts. We've really got because the farts they weren't killing me yet.
Yeah.
And so I have a Tesla, and do you know the Tesla
Oh yeah,
fart?
my daughter loves the farts.
Right. So I was like, my car farts are really good. So we went out with my phone. I recorded the Tesla farts on my phone and we put it in the movie. And then I cried. And then we went
Which
to,
one was it? Do you remember?
there's a few of them.
Because you used a
There's like
couple of them.
six of
Those are
them.
the Tesla farts.
They're all Tesla farts.
Wow.
And, and we get to the screening and that scene plays and it's just huge laughter. Like you
Yes.
don't even hear the farts because people are laughing so hard. And Jamie turned to me and she goes, I guess it stays in. I was like, yeah, yeah. But I'm stupid. I mean, I fart stuff. I'll cry. I'll cry at that
Yeah.
most times. And my son, he loves that scene. He's 21 now, but he's like, can you just send me that scene? He just wants to watch the scene.
Oh, I'm happy for you, man. Your
Yeah.
biggest laugh is in the movie that you're
Yeah.
you're out sharing
Yeah.
with the world. Happy
And
for you.
and it's just farts
And it's just farts. It's okay. There's a lot of
because we all share them.
the naked hug really got me. Thank you so much for doing this, David. You're a real it seems pandering to say mensch, but you're a mensch and I enjoy you.
I appreciate that terminology very
Yeah.
much. And I will fawn it back to you.
Oh,
With gratitude.
thank you very much. We have the guests say keep it crispy. It's how we have a sense of closure here at the end. Would you grace us with a keep it crispy?
Pete, keep it crispy.
You keep it crispy.
No, you keep it crispy.
All right.
You are keeping it crispy. That's what you're doing. What does that mean? What did I just say?
We've been keeping it crispy this whole time. This has been
Yeah.
crisp.
We kept it crispy? Okay.
Yeah. Deep, fun, open, honest, spacious, kind, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was crisp.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You made it weird. You made it weird.